headphones, so maybe you'll hear better.
Hey, can you hear me now?
I can. Can you hear me?
I think it's the network. I think it's the network. I'm glitching. I don't know why. Well, let's start. Let's start so we don't waste people's time. All right. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's AMA. I'm really pumped to have you all here. It's not every day you get hanged out with some incredible folks who are basically pushing the boundaries of DeFi and blockchain. So before we dive into the technical stuff, I'd like to take us a moment to understand what drives you, what keeps you motivated, what lesson you've learned along the way, and how your experiences have shaped the project you're leading. Because at the end of the day, the passion is what fuels progress and what really gets the community excited to be part of something bigger. So let's get into it. So today we have Dean, Tribble, and we could have had Yulia, but she's not here. So before we get into the nuts and bolts, I want to take a step back and hear from the human side of this journey. So, Dean, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So, you've got this amazing background that that way beyond just crypto, and I'm curious what's like been one of the most biggest moment for you in your career that made you realize that blockchain was like the way forward. Like, what was like the spark that lit the fire?
This was really in 2017, where we had previously worked on smart contract systems pre-blockchain for being able to have software that enforces contract-like arrangement between third parties and between software agents, even as far as the 80s and 90s. And in 2017, there was all these security exploits on Ethereum, and some people that knew we'd worked in this space knew that we had an approach that could make it safer, that could make it more secure, and that could make it more async, more usable, those kinds of things, because we had been working on these kinds of solutions for, at that point, a decade or two, for solving user problems. And they brought us together, and and the learning of what was going on in blockchain and how important that was, and how it brought an integrity to software execution that didn't exist before that, with our model of how to make stuff safely available in an asynchronous world, really came together. And there was sort of that aha, not just for us, but for the funders at the time, that there was a real sort of technology connection here that could solve a bunch of the problems that people faced. And that has grown from there, where we built an orchestration platform to be able to coordinate the activities of multiple contracts and multiple accounts across multiple chains. And now we're today in beta with a product that leverages that to be able to solve key problems for DeFi in the modern blockchain, multi-chain blockchain space. And so, really having that connection of the problems we'd solve for large-scale distributed systems in Web 2 be relevant and powerful for what the problems that people are experiencing in Web 3. Seeing that happen is really exciting. Seeing where and combining that with software that can really execute on automated money, and really take the economy to the next level is really compelling to me.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really amazing. So let's start with what you got going on Ymax. What was like the real problem in DeFi that you say that needs fixing? I'm really curious about what you noticed in the space that others might have missed, and how you decide to build a solution that tackles that head on. Also, how do you see like Ymax fitting into that bigger DeFi ecosystem? Especially with so many projects trying to like solve similar problems as well.
Sure. So at the highest level problem, we had this explosion of DeFi in 2020 that has grown over time, and now we've really crossed the threshold where mainstream TradFi is moving in. And but where we're at is there's $400 billion of stable coins sitting on chain, and yet only 10% of that is really earning interesting yield. And at the end of the day, capital seeks yield. So there's clearly a problem there, right? The capital is there, but it doesn't move. It doesn't get deployed. And that's not a UX bug. That's really a systemic failure in how DeFi workflows and the Web3 environment is stitched together, right? And you see, okay, all the capital's on ETH. Well, no, 80% of the capital is on ETH, which means for most users, some of it is not. And the problem is they can't reach the opportunities, they can't reach the capital, they can't deploy their capital because the frictions are really hard, right? And so to, our simple example of, I have some money in Aave, I want to move it to Compound, or I want to move it to Beefy, or Morpho, or one of these things that I've heard about that gives me the right kind of yield, or better yield, or has the risk profile that I want. And instead of it being, so I push one button and bam, it happens, and it all happens automated in the background, unattended and solving my problem. Instead, I have to pull my money out, wait 20 minutes, bridge it, wait 20 minutes, hope everything worked right. Deploy it into the next contract, into Compound, and wait 20 minutes. And each one of those steps is high friction, is high risk, means I have to sit there for 20 minutes instead of saying, here's my intent, here's how I want my capital deployed, make it happen. And then it happens, as fast as possible, as efficiently as possible, but over time in an unattended fashion. And that's what we're used to in the Web 2 world. That's what we expect. And that's what we need to have before Web 3 can give us access easily to all of the assets and opportunities that are available that right now are just out of reach. And they're out of reach not just for, you and me, but they're out of reach for DeFi whales. They're out of reach sometimes for people that are deep into it, simply because the friction, because they get interrupted, because a bridge action fails for reasons that are not visible. And all those frictions are why there are, we can point at $30 billion on chain that are just sitting there, and we talk to the people that have it, and they explain, here's the reasons why it's just kind of sitting there. And that's a big problem. And automating that money, making it so that you've got a command center that can help you deploy it is the thing that people need in order to be able to feel like they can safely deploy and quickly deploy capital out into the market. And so that's where Ymax comes in.
Yeah, that's understandable. That's understandable. Okay, let me just move to my next question. I have a lot to say, but we don't really have time for that. So I'm sorry, we only have 1 hour, and we're gonna need time for community question as well. So
no problem.
Regarding the current state of DeFi, it can still pretty be confusing and frustrating for users as well. So from your experience, what are like the biggest pain points people are facing right now? How did those challenges shape your decision when designing Ymax? And the Ymax logo is pretty unique as well. I really like that logo. Were there like specific or user frustrations or technical problems that made you prioritize certain features or approaches? So how did you like make sure you solve real problems without making the platform too complicated?
Right. So, I mean, a big part of it is we went out and talked to people. So this wasn't just our experience. We realized how challenging deploying capital was, managing a set of positions. And so we went and talked to people about it. Now, for people, at a simplifying level, there are the lend and borrow, there's the low-level DeFi primitives of across for bridging and CCTP for moving USDC and those kinds of things. There is then the lend and borrow systems like Aave and Compound. And what you've seen recently is this explosion of vaults. morphos and pendles and beefies and that sort of thing, where they are taking complex, interesting strategies in the low-level DeFi and packaging them up into something that is relatively straightforward to get into. The problem is there are hundreds of them. And, the old joke of, well, I've got 5 standards, let's make a standard to organize all of them. And the end result is now I have 6 standards. We didn't want to solve the access to yield and the yield aggregation problem by just adding another vault, because then it's, one more vault in this growing wilderness of vaults. What we wanted was to make it possible to automate the execution of your strategies across those vaults. So it's not, here's a vault, it's, here's my portfolio of positions and vaults. I want to be able to deploy it. I want a portfolio that will be able to automatically rebalance across those. But what I'm doing is I have control, I have custody, and I can say, put some in that Aave, put some in that compound position, put some in that morpho position. Or if I want in the future, sign up for that strategy where someone will do it for me, but it's still my account and my portfolio with my positions. And so we saw people really wanting that. They wanted to maintain control. They wanted to be able to use AI, but still maintain control. They wanted to use automation and still maintain control. They wanted to be able to deploy to chains that they didn't want to have an account on. So we just have this litany of things where the end result is people wanted to be able to view Web3 and use Web3 as a largely uniform set of services out there on the Web3 network. The same way when we use Web2, we use, Bing and Google and Docs and Slacks and all these services where, we don't think about one's deployed in one blockchain, or sorry, in one cloud environment and one's deployed in another. We just use them uniformly. Well, users want that for Web3. And that was the thing that we kept experiencing is I want to be able to deploy in this place. I want to pull it out of there and move my money over here. And it's on a different chain, so that's just too hard. And we saw people doing yield aggregation, and that was powerful and valuable and restricted only to, base. So you could only do yield aggregation and yield optimization on base. And if you wanted to go out to Arbitrum as well, because there's something there, well, that was too much trouble. And so making all of that uniform, making that simple became something that clearly people wanted. We got, lots of feedback from people of how they would want to use it, how hard it was to be able to move their money around. And so it sort of sat there. We even got feedback from, folks inside of Aave where users that only use Aave have trouble moving from Aave on base to Aave on Arbitrum. And so we had the tools and the power to uniquely solve that on chain. And it's an exciting thing to solve because it's something that really hits people where it matters and solves the problems that a lot of people cared about. And so I'm excited that we're able to combine that solution to a problem that people really need.
Absolutely. So let's dive into the user experience for a bit. For someone like who's been in DeFi for a while but is new to Ymax, so what's like the moment or features that make them go like, okay, this is actually pretty cool? Is there like something about like the way that Ymax works or feels that stands out and immediately shows it's different from other tools out there?
Yes. Yeah. So you can actually, at ymax.app, even without being in the beta, you can play with the early beta UI to set up an account where, you see a list of assets. Right now, you can only see Compound and Aave assets on the beta. Morphos in testing, other things are in testing, which will come out. We'll talk about that later. And you pick, I want this instrument, that instrument, that, I want positions in these funds. And you can see what chain they're on, but you don't really care, right? So you can, this fund on Arbitrum is doing better than the equivalent fund on base. I'll pick that. And there's this fund on ETH. And, so I want these 3 things. And then you've got sliders. Would you say, yeah, I want 50% of my assets into the Gauntlet fund on Arbitrum, right? And 20% in this, this fund in Compound, right? And then deposit money. And you're done. You've one signature, and it will go and deploy your funds out to an account that it makes on your behalf on each of those chains, puts money into them, and then deploys the assets in an automated fashion into Compound, Avi, et cetera. Right? And you can see it doing that in the background, where you did one approval. Am my audio still coming through? It just chirped. Where you do one approval, and it creates the portfolio, creates the remote accounts, routes the money out over to those blockchains, and then remotely deploys it into those positions for you. And you can see your portfolio, you can see the activity going on. If you say rebalance, or if you just go in and move a slider that says, yeah, I want more of this. This has been doing well for me this last week. One approval, it will pull the money out, move it over to the place where you want it now, all asynchronously behind the scenes, durably executing your high-level intent to deploy your funds in a particular way. And that's really, the unique thing that you get that Ymax does is I have a high level of intent of, I want this portfolio allocation across these funds, make it happen. Then the next week, and rebalance it because things have drifted because of market changes, make it happen. One approval, and it goes off and does that in automated fashion. You can see exactly what it's doing. You can see exactly why it's doing it. You can see the trade-offs and considerations, and your approval says, yeah, go do that for me. So that ability to do that on-chain command center, that on-chain execution of your high-level intent over time, where you can check back if you want, but it'll run unattended, is the thing you can really start to see that just playing with the initial account setup, where you just, yeah, here's the allocation I want, go. Something, you still have audio? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Throughout all you've been saying, I don't understand how you do it. You kind of like explain things in a way that it feels like you're in love with the project. I don't know. I don't know how you do it, but you're like one of the best people that I've hosted throughout these AMAs that I've been hosted, because you say it with so much excitement, and it's really just really amazing.
I love this stuff.
With with so many dashboard and aggregators and automation platform in DeFi, what sets Ymax apart? Like, how does it manage? How does it like make managing and moving money on chain easier and smarter? Are there like any unique challenges that you've solved that others overlooked? Yeah, I'm really interested in what makes Ymax stand out in such a crowded space.
Yep. Yeah. So people realize they need the orchestration. And, we helped get the idea of chain abstraction and orchestration going in 24 and 25. That is where the unique power of Ymax and the platform, the technology that it's built with, makes a difference. Our stuff, the execution, the distribution, the automation, all runs on chain. There's a lot of people that are doing aggregation for you where there's really two modes. I'm actually doing the aggregation off chain and then, running different blockchains through their hoops. So if you see, inside of a chain abstraction wallet, it's the wallet off chain that has all your authority that's doing these things. And, your laptop has to be connected in order to finish something that's going to take 20 minutes because all the software is running either on your system or in some Amazon cloud. And from my perspective, great. That's a Web2 TradFi, service for you. It's not a blockchain service. It happens to be deploying some funds into blockchain, but you don't have the trust assurance, the decentralization of blockchain execution, which is, one of the big values that the blockchain environment gives us, is that auditability, is that transparency that opaque environments hide from you. So there's systems where it's actually executing off chain and just pretending to be a decentralized solution, and there are systems where
Sorry.
Go ahead. Did you have an interrupt?
No. Yeah, I was telling you, sorry. You were coughing.
Sorry. And there are systems where, like, Skip or Across or some of these things, where they will set up the transactions for you, but then you still have to click, as Hasib from Dragonfly says, and sign a bunch of different individual transactions in order to make something happen, right? If you're going to have an operation where, I take the simple example of, pull money from Aave and put it into Compound. But in our model, it's, pull money from these 3 funds in Aave, these 4 funds in Compound over on Arbitrum, move all of those together across over into Ethereum and put it into this Morpho fund. And that could be 10 transactions I have to sign, all automated for me by one of these off-chain systems, where in our system, it's all on-chain, so you get the integrity of durable execution with a full-on audit trail on audited software. And it can handle doing a transaction that moves money across 10 or 20 different, or, more than that, different positions in order to redeploy your funds, rebalance, get out of a bunch of things because I'm pulling out of the market and I want to sit on cash, whatever it is. Doing all of that with one authorization means you spend your time on what do you want to do with your money, not on the manual effort of trying to, without screwing up and getting interrupted, actually do that action. So it's the on-chain execution that really is unique to Ymax. Nothing else does it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So regarding, let's talk about the security standpoint. Since Ymax deals with real user funds, so what are like the main security measures you put in place to protect users? How do you stay ahead of potential threats? And what can users expect in the long term going regarding the security updates or audits?
So,
I think I guess Ymax doesn't have a token, so if you can direct that to Agoric, if you don't mind.
Sure. I can. There's a bunch of elements here. The key thing, it's non-custodial by design, so it's not. So Agoric, and people operating Ymax never touch users' money. Their wallet controls their portfolio that is implemented in the orchestration stack on the Agoric chain. The user never needs to care about that or notice, but that's architecturally what happens. That where Agoric has this orchestration support to be able to do remote control of accounts on other chains, both Cosmos chains, Ethereum chains, eventually Solana, and so forth. And what that lets us do is, with our model that supports nice asynchronous programming, on-chain timers, on-chain reaction to Oracle events, and those kinds of things, a user creates a portfolio, the funds go in and they're directed out to accounts that the portfolio creates for them on Base, Arbitrum, etc. Each user each portfolio has individual accounts on those chains. So it's not, here's the new vault, you put your money, it's commingled with other users. It's like, no, your money goes in and goes to accounts that are set up automatically over secure bridges. I'll talk about that in a moment, over secure connections by the portfolio running on Agoric. It deploys funds. It then reaches out again over those messaging buses to say, hey, here's the money sent over, circle CCDP to the account on Base. Please deploy it into this Compound position, right? And it then does the supply operation to put it into Compound. So the architecture is, nothing that a user can do off-chain can cause the smart contract to move it from your portfolio account to my portfolio account. Those are independent, connected networks of accounts that there's no way to express, hey, move it to this address. Like, no, it's not moved to address. It's moved to my compound position. And that's all I can say. And that means there's nothing in the execution that would move it to your compound position. Okay. And each of these steps, each of these pieces goes through internal security review, threat modeling, and then security audit. So we work with Atretis as our primary auditor, though we've worked with others. And underneath the covers, we use Axelar Network for messaging. They have had a very long and very good track record of handling and connecting to numerous chains out there. And transferring large volumes of dollars. We use Circle CCTP, which is the fundamental bridge for moving around USDC. And so because we can coordinate this activity across multiple systems and chains, the contract will reach out over Axelar, create your account, over CCTP, move the money to it. Once it arrives, then reach out and say, okay, now supply some of it into this Aave pool and some of it into this compound pool. And it can do all of that in a way that is, strongly connected with strong bridging mechanism via Axelar and via IBC. So no signatures from us, no hidden keys. I mean, this is like the off-chain things. They've got hidden keys running in a cloud data center, and you're no longer relying on a blockchain. You're relying on some Amazon machine somewhere. And then I'll add one last thing architecturally. The smart contract, your portfolio on chain, enforces that money inside the portfolio can only be moved among the accounts and positions that the portfolio specified. What that means is we can support curators, off-chain planning engines, AI planning engines, and those kinds of things, where they can provide, here's the plan and how I would like you to deploy funds, but nothing they can do can take your funds and move them to someone else's account. All they can do is say, yeah, move it all into Compound, or move it all into Base, or move it all into your portfolio position in Morpho. They can't take it and spend it, go buy something with it, transfer it to another user or something like that. That integrity, that maintenance of your custody is enforced by the on-chain contract and is unassailable by any off-chain extensions that let us incorporate, again, curation and AIs and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So regarding building a platform that handles real money, you must have faced some tough decisions. So what were some of the biggest trade-offs you've had to make between security and user experience, along with the flexibility? Did you have to rethink or cut features to find the right balance? How did you approach those challenges?
That's certainly something that we think about a lot. And it is actually the nature of our security architecture that lends itself to better usability. But I would say the biggest challenge is the one that's sort of, present in my head, where it took a lot of work. We're doing, I don't know, is it a secret? We're doing EVM wallets, right? We have Cosmos stacks, so the beta, you can use Kepler wallets. That works great. But obviously the larger market is EVM wallets. Getting it so that you can do a single signature to open a portfolio and deposit funds in and have them go automatically out, and having that experience be a smooth experience, took a lot of work, right? Much of the DeFi environment that people are used to, as a friend of mine says, let me explain the glass that people eat in order to be able to do DeFi. And that's not okay with me. That's not okay with us. And so getting that experience to be, I do a single signature with my EVM wallet, I'm just on EVM. The fact that there's, a Comet BFT engine that's running the smart contracts. I don't care. I never want to experience it. I'm just, on Base or on Arbitrum, and I'm just going to drive my Web3 multi-chain portfolio from there. And that works. And getting that to work was a hard design challenge, was a hard, we had to do several rounds of testing and then go, okay, this has the right user experience, but it's not instantly obvious by a quick user review that they're only authorizing funds to be moved into their portfolio. How do we make that happen? And so making it so that it was usable, secure, and clearly secure to the user so that they could see that it is something that they could trust. That was a set of challenges that, anything like that, you're trading off, it takes a little longer to finish than you would like, or there's more risk or more tests you have to do than you would like. And but that's an important element of the experience. I'm really looking forward to rolling that out to users. And I think, the people who have tested it, they really appreciate it. And it's like, wow, this works the way it should. And most things just don't work the way they should. And so this is really nice, really, really good feedback. There are a few others. Having everything run on chain gives you high security, gives you high assurance. We're not trying to compete with, I'm going to be the fastest to get this trade in. This is not an MEV engine. This is an engine for, what is it? Less stress and more yield, right? It's I want to be able to easily say, put it there. And there is a place that it would have been too difficult for me to put my money in last month, right? And so now I can put it into a higher yield thing easily, and when I'm done, I can pull it out. Or if things are making me nervous, I can pull it out and move it into something else. That experience I'm really excited about as well. But the security requirements we have of everything, everything's running on chain that implements our execution layer, that constrains it to those kinds of use cases. Those kinds of use cases are in the tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars, so that's just fine.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, obviously, people have become a lot more risk aware in DeFi lately. So, which makes total sense actually. So, how does Ymax help users make smarter decisions and manage uncertainty without making things too complex or intimidating? So, are there any specific tools or insight built in to guide users through tricky situations?
Right. So, I hear a train. So the most important thing is that we work hard to be clear and transparent so they can see what's going on with the stuff they do in DeFi, right? Or they do in Ymax. And they can use Ymax to easily move and redeploy their assets when they want to, right? I observed that, I mentioned we're not, a race to the front to try and get the transaction in the fastest. But let me tell you, it's way faster than I can do it when I go, oh my God, I need to move stuff out of this fund. Let me find my notes for how to do that. And with this system, it's like, yeah, delete my position there, pull it all back and deploy it to the rest of my system. So as a service, it helps users with engaging in, it gives them control so they can use their risk management or their decisions and execute them easily. We have integrated in AI services to provide information and education and assistance, or sort of more unique and important is, I'm in the midst of this transaction. What's going on? How does it work? Where are the fees? How long will it take to finish? If there's something going on in the network, will that affect my, by network, I mean all of Web3, will that affect my positions? That kind of information is accessible where it's, AI agents that are informed about my positions when I access them. And so I can navigate, sort of arbitrary user questions around it. And that's something that it's just a start, then we will grow over time. We're also, right now, our focus is on the typical risk profile, so blue chips and and not, we're not yet showing risk profiles, so we're not yet providing access to crazy high risk, high yield instruments. When we go in that direction, to be sure, we will make third-party risk information very visible and available so users can understand what they're getting into. It is my contention that, when you look at traditional investing, having a portfolio where I have, 10% in high risk and 50% in stocks and 30% in metals or whatever my portfolio is, it's having those uncorrelated assets with different risk profiles. That's where having a portfolio, having automatic rebalancing or manual rebalancing, and having the ability to change strategy and have all those changes happen for you or be executed by a reliable system for you, that gets more valuable over time. As there are more vaults, the ability to maintain a portfolio and rebalance and automatically redeploy and connect in strategies is more and more valuable, exactly because you can better use and better adapt to the risk information that you have access to or that you can get to. And so we're very sensitive to that. We will be adding features over time to make that more available and make more automations available around them. But right now, the main thing is just making it so you can execute easily is an enormous improvement in assurance and ability to manage your risk, which is what people asked us for, right? When we talk to people about, here's another feature, like, yeah, I could see some people wanting it, but really I want control myself. I want to be able to just say, yeah, exit my position there.
Right. So I'm just gonna ask my last question, and then we're gonna move to the community question. So lastly, looking ahead, what big updates or features that are upcoming for Ymax? Are there any partnership or development that you're excited about? How do you see Ymax evolving over the next year to keep up with the fast changing of DeFi world?
Mm-hmm. Well, next year is a long time particularly in this environment. But okay, so we will be having some announcements at ETH Denver, and we'll have a booth there. So anyone who can come there, come see us. In the next few weeks, we'll be starting to route capital to new protocols. So including Morpho, EVM will be available, and early users will be the first in line for any Ymax incentives when they go out later this year. We won't be talking any details about what that looks like because, as that may adapt to market changes. But we are definitely excited about as we transition into open beta and then into full product launch. There will definitely be things to do. So we're actively testing integrations with various partners like Morpho that include higher yield, more flexible vault strategies, that sort of thing. And then we have a backlog of features that we are adding over time that come from our early users. We very much value the feedback from early users that both in terms of what protocols they would like to see and prioritize, what additional networks they would like to be connected to, but also what features and what utility and what which direction they would like the AI to get smarter in, what they experience in diagnosing activities or analyzing activities that are happening on chain in order to inform what they would like to engage in. There's a feature in the system to propose, one-click improvements, optimizations to their portfolio, and that's something that we will get feedback on those as users start to come online and as these instruments, as their positions start to diverge, and so we will get feedback on what are the one-click improvements that they like. Sometimes that will be, we just added a fund, we just added a new instrument. Given your portfolio and your history, this looks like it would be a fit for you. One click here to put part of your portfolio into that new instrument. And that's valuable to users, that's valuable to the new instruments, and that's valuable to Ymax. And so the feedback and that kind of information is going to be very exciting.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So, community, this is gonna be the last question. But before we head into the community question, if apart from the Agoric merchandise, do you guys have for Ymax also?
Do we have which? Just repeat that. Do we have Ymax?
I didn't get what you said. What did you say?
Oh, you said, I didn't quite hear the end of your question. Is it, do we have Ymax merchandise or something else?
Yes, Ymax merchandise. I can see Agoric. Obviously, you guys have, but I want to know if you guys have for Ymax also.
I think the answer will be yes. I don't know of any right now, and Yulia will may chime in with information on that. Now, by the way, I talked about getting that early feedback. Sign up at ymax.app at the waitlist, please, because that's where you can get early access, either the Cosmos version now or when the EVM version becomes available. We will be getting people from that waitlist into the system, and we're very interested in your feedback, and that will certainly be the place to get the latest information and the earliest access to things. We do have Ymax merchandise, but it first goes out at ETH Denver.
Okay. Obviously, you guys are excited about this. Well, guys,
so do we have any audience direct questions? I'm very much interested in what they have to ask.
Yeah, I'm gonna move in. But before we head on to that question, is there like anything you like we didn't cover that you would like to add before head on to the community questions?
There's so much that I could cover, but no, I think the answer is people should try it themselves and then give us their feedback. This is all about solving user problems. And so, in any information we get on what problems people need solved or where they want it to go, that's a really good thing.
All right. So, before I'm gonna get question from Twitter. I'm gonna pick one question from Twitter, and then we head to and then we're gonna head to the live questions. So let me look for. Okay, I can see Papa Tundai. This question was from Papa Tundai. So Papa Tundai said, "How does your Agoric ensures long-term incentive for token holders beyond speculations, and what mechanisms are in place to prevent token dilution and sudden sell-offs that could affect price stability?" This one is from Papa Tundai.
So that's largely outside the scope of the Ymax conversation. We run the Agoric platform, has the build token. Ymax uses the underlying services, so as it grows in use, it will consume and spend build tokens to pay for the underlying orchestration services that we use to control remote accounts and deploy execution and that sort of thing. That mechanic will ramp up as Ymax goes live. And so those tokenomics are being rolled out. I mean, in fact, the updated paper just got published. Let's focus on Ymax for this AMA. I'm happy to talk about that elsewhere.
Right. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go with Jared. Jared, you're already muted. I'll mute you, so you can ask away.
Hi guys. Hope I'm audible.
Yes.
A quick question about the security. How does Agoric's approach to security help reduce smart contract exploits? And are there any skills builders should watch out for Ymax?
So the key way, or I'll give a simple example, or getting an echo here, by the way. I'll give an example. In Solidity, in many of these systems, the way you organize a bunch of portfolios is I would have a table from your address to the set of accounts that you have, and the code would just reach into that table, pull out the account, and send a message. The problem is it's very easy to have a bug where it reach into that table and pick out John's account instead of your account, because they're all available there straightforwardly, just laid out in front of me. And if I'm off by one, I go the wrong place. I helped the architecture of the very first on-chain, or not on-chain, online Web 2 in the 90s electronic brokerage systems at Schwab. And at the time, every single brokerage, E-Trade, Schwab, Fidelity, had an exploit of the form where some ID that was supposed to represent a user got looked up in a table, and instead of getting that user's information, it got some other user's information. That architecture is fundamentally unsafe, and yet it is pervasive in how a lot of smart contracts are built. In our model, it's much more like, hardened object-oriented systems where they're, secure OSs are built around this. I have a portfolio object. It has an account. I use that account object to reach out over to Ethereum to say, here's the action I want you to do. I'm not looking up in a table and getting some account object. I sure hope it's mine. And that model dramatically simplifies verifying security. What happens is, they first verify, okay, this portfolio can only access this account object, so I don't care. I don't need to know anything else about the rest of the contract to verify in the code that the only account it can affect is the one that belongs to that portfolio. And there are lots of examples of this pervasively where, our auditors go and can quickly go, okay, the security assumption that we're relying on is encoded right here, and I can tell that nothing else can reach it, and it can't reach anything else. So all that other code to make pretty, diagnosis or anything like that, I know I don't have to care about it. I don't have to review it. It cannot have any security impact on the heart of our execution. And that leads to simpler audits, and it leads to higher general security. And that's a model we've used in numerous secure systems over several decades, long before blockchain, from OSs in Microsoft and brokerage systems and, security management systems and so forth. And it's very complementary to blockchain. And remember, in the introduction, I talked about, people bringing us together with the problems in blockchain. It was because of that security approach that we got started at all. Next question. Thank you, by the way.
The answer to my question. Thank you.
Right. Thanks for your question, Jared. So we're gonna move to Federico. Federico, I already muted you. You can ask away. Oh, he left. Okay, let's go with Sanjay Gollum. Sanjay, your mic is already muted. You can ask away.
Hello, Sanjay.
I think it's the Telegram glitching. Maybe.
There you go. He's unmuted.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sure we can.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my question is, your AI assistant Max suggests yield optimization automatically. Can you just override Max suggestion, or is it fully automated? What's the balance between AI-driven efficiency and user control over their capital allocation?
I repeat the last sentence there. I just didn't hear that.
Okay. What is the balance between AI-driven efficiency and user control over their capital allocation?
Excellent. Great. So that is a great question. We are deliberately and one that we very specifically answer. So the AI right now can provide information and advice, and currently has no, it's informed by the app, but it doesn't control anything. The next step, which we will do, is where it can propose an allocation, but with the proposed allocation, that just shows up as if you had set it up, and then you still have to approve it. So this is about AI assisting the human. This is not delegating authority to the AI. Now, as it turns out, the architecture lets you, the user, impose a policy, and so we will be able to loosen that up. So people could have AI agents that would be able to, for example, automatically redeploy within limits and only within the funds that they have. But right now, the goal is the user has all the control that they ever want to be able to do this. And so right now it would show up as a proposal from the AI that you review. You say, yes, that's what I want. You confirm in your wallet and do your authorization, and then it would execute on chain. It has no direct authority. So we make it easy, but we keep controlling the user.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Federico's back. Federico, you can ask your question now.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yes. We can hear you. Now I'm not hearing you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm really, really grateful. So my question here is, every project presents its project strengths, but I admire people who know their weaknesses more. So my question here is, what do you think the current project weaknesses are, and how do you guys plan to deal with it all?
I mean, okay. So from a product point of view, it is new. And so if there's any weakness, it's that we haven't yet got it running with thousands of people to that show that it has product market fit. And so we're set up to listen well to customers, see what they need in order to make sure that the application doesn't just solve their problem, but it solves their problem in a way that really works for them, and in a way that, of course, produces revenue and value to the chain. So that number one thing of getting to product market fit is always the challenge, and until you have it, it's a weakness. So I don't, and that's really it. I don't think there's technical weaknesses. The core of it is unique and amazing. It has, clear, unique differentiators that nobody else can do. We just need to parlay that into value for you guys. So thank you for the question.
Yeah, thanks for the great answers, man. Yeah, it shows that you guys know what you're doing. And yeah, I love your energy,
you.
man. I love it. Yeah. So thanks, brother, for the opportunity to speak.
Thanks, Federico.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And you're right about Dean's energy. His energy is really active.
Yeah, exactly.
No, honestly. And I can see Yulia here. Yulia, hi, how you doing? I don't know if you're in a good place to talk now.
Hi. Yes, I can.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure you're with us.
Yes, I am. Sorry for not showing on video. I haven't been feeling well today.
Okay. I hope you feel better. Okay, so we're gonna take the last question, and then we're gonna call it a day. Let me get a question from the community. Just give me a second.
I have a meeting starting shortly, so
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Right. I think I got the question from Charles. Charles Vince. It's saying he's curious about how your ecosystem drives utility and demand for the token. If you can explain the key use cases that create sustainable value for holders. And he said also, what are like the upcoming features and partnerships that might significantly increase the token adoption and price stability?
Well, as I said, I want to mostly focus on Ymax. The Ymax, is the main thing that Agoric is building that leverages the Agoric orchestration platform and will drive usage and value. We anticipate to the build token. To me, we have a platform that can do things that nothing else can do. But the way to show that off is to ship an app that users want that is only possible because of that tech stack. And that's what Ymax is. That's our number one focus because it's the main thing that will drive signaling there. We are very happy that QSTN, which is SurveyMonkey for Web3, essentially, built using the Agoric orchestration stack as well. So it's, there are other apps, but our focus is driving, having our flagship fly into new ports and getting users all over the place. And that's the primary thing. So Ymax does drive partnerships, right? The yield protocols need users in yield, and Ymax, instead of being a competition for their vault, becomes a channel by which users can easily reach vaults. So we become a pathway that is valuable not just to users, but to the yield instruments on the other side, to the morphos and the compounds and the beefies. And so, we talk with those people. They know about us. As we launch, we will have various kinds of marketing and incentive programs with them, and so that's going to be important for Ymax and indirectly then for our underlying ecosystem. Now, it's very important to realize that we're all about Web3 as the market for the product. This is solving a problem that everybody in Web3 has, and everyone who's crypto curious that's starting to get in. The only way they're going to get in is if they don't have to care about particular chains. So our model, our goal is leverage the power of the technology stack that we have to solve otherwise impossible problems. And Ymax is the flagship for that. It's really the first start, and it's really got it. So thank you for the question. And now go sign up for Ymax.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I think this brings us to the end of this session. But before we round up for the session, Dean, is there like any closing statement that you would like to, add so we can close up the session?
Yeah, I know that your users, your community, are people that are in the space deploying capital. Now, our focus is stablecoins for now. There are lots of ways in which the same architecture grows into other things, but I'm very, I'm serious. Getting into the system, once we roll out the EVM thing, or if you use Kepler, do it now. Sign up now. This really should provide value to users in both reducing their risk, reducing their time, and giving them access to things that are otherwise challenging to get access to. And so, what I most want from these users, from the community, is try it out and give us feedback. Tell us what we do right. Tell us what you'd like us to do better. All of that is precious and valuable, and will turn, Ymax into something that's precious and valuable for you. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention, and thank you for your future feedback.
All right. You guys please do so, and don't forget to follow them on their socials and engage.
And sign up at Ymax.app.
Yes, sign up at Ymax.app. And it's been an amazing conversation today. A huge thanks to Dean and for showing up and to share so much insights and vision with us. It's not really every day that we get to hear such honest and deep perspectives straight from the people building the future in DeFi. And I really hope everyone here finds this as valuable and as inspiring as I did. So we've covered a lot, from the challenges that you're tackling to the unique solutions that you're bringing to the table and what's coming next in the pipeline. and it's clear that there's a lot of hard work and heart behind these projects, and that's exactly what drives real progress in this space. So to the community, thank you for your thoughtful questions and for being such an engaged and supporting audience. So your curiosity and your energy really makes this session so much richer. And remember, projects like Agoric and Ymax really rely on the community feedback and participation just as much as the technology itself. So stay involved and share your thoughts. So before we sign off, I just want to remind everyone to keep an eye on the socials again. And also the updates, announcements, and also the future events. And if you're new here and you haven't already, make sure to follow. Also, try to follow the project, the platform, all their socials, and don't miss out on any more of our AMAs. Deep dive with the other amazing projects. So, Dean, it's a really pleasure to have you here. Thanks again for the transparency and for being so open with us. I'm wishing you all the best and keep pushing forward.
Thank you.
So, regarding this, the prize for the best questions, we're gonna distribute it to you guys next week Tuesday. So I'm sorry, this happened before, so I really apologize. So the incentive will be delivered to you guys by our team by next week Tuesday. So you guys just wait and see you guys on the next one. So just stay curious and stay safe, and we'll catch you
You can
guys on
blame
the
us,
next
but
AMA.
it'll happen.
Yeah, it will certainly. So you guys should stay safe and have a good evening. Bye bye.
Thanks all.